It's called a loss. Hello?
Hello and welcome back to It's Called a Lance. I am Austin, co-host. Joined with me today is my good friend, William VSRD.
Help, when he said joined, he meant physically we've been Cronenberged onto his shoulder.
Shut
I like it.
up.
It's very comfortable.
The
right shoulder is just really good. Yeah, what? I called the right shoulder. I got the right shoulder. Stop complaining.
I'm just saying, she did call the right shoulder. Also joining me today is Auntie Hauntie.
Hello.
So we've been a little late on coming out with episodes because it's been a busy couple of weeks for us.
Yeah, very specifically,
two of us moved.
Two members of the podcast moved.
Yes.
So
yes.
We're sorry about that.
And the third member is going on vacation soon.
Indeed.
Vacation. What are vacations like?
It's a thing you get to do when you have a wife.
Oh my god! Get me someone quick.
Okay, this is. No. I guess this could be a podcast where we get Hauntie a wife.
Yeah.
It's worked for many of the Dragonlance characters over time, you know.
Yeah. If there's any eligible waifus in the audience,
send us
I'm
a resume.
Sure you just scared them off by calling them waifus.
Post your resume in the comments. Yeah. No. I want the ones who hear waifu and are like, yes, that's me.
Yeah. M knows what she's
Waifu
looking
desu.
for.
Yes.
Besides moving, how's everybody doing?
Well, I'm pretty good because of the move, really. I'm in this new place. It's way bigger than my old one. I'm in a town, so I'm not like losing internet connection because of fallen trees. It's so nice. I love my new place.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Hauntie, how are you enjoying it being relocated back to the family farm?
Oh God. In my 40s, I am definitely channeling girl failure pretty hard right now. But I'm doing good. I don't have any more bills, which is wonderful, and it's extremely quiet out here, and everything is clean and nice, and there's cows wherever I look. And
oh my God, do you moo at the cows?
It's pretty good. I do not moo at the cows. No,
you should moo at the cows. It's what I do whenever I'm driving with the wife, and I moo.
No goats. I haven't seen any goats. When I was driving around, I saw cows and donkeys. But we do have some kittens here. My mom's cat recently had 2 kittens, and so they are very cute. And I've been chasing them around the house, trying to make them love me.
To defend Hauntie's honor to the audience, by the way, Hauntie hasn't moved back home due to a failure to launch or anything. She has moved back home because she is preparing to move even farther away. So just to defend you when you're not defending yourself.
Thank you. Yeah.
Just to pick you up while you're kicking yourself while you're down.
Yeah.
It's honestly kind of talented.
Like stop hitting yourself, but like no, really stop hitting yourself. Yeah.
yeah. It's not me using your fist to hit you. It's just you using your fist to hit you. Don't do that. Be nice to yourself.
So hold on. Did I say you moved? Did I say you moved back to the family farm and then you actually did move back to a farm? I was just guessing.
No, it is not a farm. I am in a suburb in Colorado, but being Colorado, there is farmland everywhere. So
Colorado.
Colorado.
I've always wanted to go to Colorado. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, it's a beautiful state. It is gorgeous, and the mountains are constantly looming over you like shadowy overlords covered in snow. It's great.
Yeah, it is great. I mean, I live near the Rockies. I don't not in my current location, but if I drive about an hour out, I can see the Rockies pretty clear.
Yep. Canadian Rockies.
Or if I really want,
Very
I can
similar
spend
to the American
17
Rockies.
Hours driving around through them. It was an awful experience.
We needed to show the Americans when we drove through. We were bringing Americans through the Rockies for our D&D group when we were all visiting together. And then there were wildfires. So the 2-hour detour to go through the Rockies turned into like 17 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I refuse to drive through the Rockies just because, one, you never know when there's going to be snow and ice, and two, my crippling fear of heights. But so I took the longest possible route, the 10 to the 25. But I got to see New Mexico, which was nice.
Yeah, that is also a place I want to go, but that's because I was a big fan of the musical Rent, and I want to start a restaurant in Santa Fe.
Right.
I just don't understand what was the problem with Old Mexico. I think it's fine. We didn't have to. Yeah. We didn't need a sequel.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things. But yeah. Anyways, I think we're actually here to talk about a book.
A book?
The Communist Manifesto. No.
Yes.
Okay, well,
welcome,
if you
comrades.
want to insert the Soviet Union national anthem again.
Okay, let me begin reading you this summary here of the Communist Manifesto.
Yes.
The heroes return to Solace to find it subjugated. The trees have burned and the people dragged off in chains, save for anything that the occupiers found useful. Tika Whalen has survived, the inn of the last home having been turned into a draconian bar. When the heroes inevitably kick up the hornet's nest, she flees with them, and is inevitably captured with them. Bound with them together is Gilthanas, Tanis' hostile ex-best friend from Qualinosti. And soon, Fizzban, from the story's beginning, is captured alongside them. The prison caravan is liberated by the elves, and Goldmoon convinces a reluctant Gilthanas to shelter the refugees. Tanis is reunited with his difficult upbringing, including his childhood sweetheart, Laurana. Tanis has matured a lot since those days. Laurana has not. After delivering the news of the returned gods to the elven leader, they are tasked with infiltrating the fortress of Pax Tharkas and overthrowing High Lord Verminard with the help of a slave uprising and Gilthanas. Tika joins the party, determined to fight alongside them like Kitiara did. After a small clash with Draconians, she draws her first blood and then kisses Caramon. The party finds Eben, a human swordsman and the remnant of Gilthanas' original attack on Pax Tharkas. The heroes close in on the hidden path to enter the fortress, while Gilthanas explains that they're all expendable. There we go.
Like an elf. What an elf.
I know.
A squad.
You can't say that on YouTube. I'm going to have to censor that.
Oh, fuck. Something, an unalive squad.
A druicide squad. It's druids.
Okay. It's a druid side squad.
Squad, yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was what Karl Marx wrote. That was the Communist Manifesto.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Honestly, it's different than the one I grew up reading.
Yep.
Oh, you must have read second edition. This was the original.
Yeah. That's where they cut out the use of Gilthanas as a metaphor for the capitalism and the rumors that it's actually going to liberate people because, of course, capitalism considers all of us expendable. Yeah.
Naturally. So what did you guys think of the reading list we've done? Just on a high level, what'd you think?
Oh,
Well,
I loved... Oh, do you want to go first?
Oh, no. I was just going to add on the Communist Manifesto and how this book is ruined now.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I like it. You know, of course, this is the section that introduces so many more characters kind of all at once, essentially.
Yes.
And but they're all characters for the most part that I'm a big fan of. Laurana and Gilthanas was kind of for me. They don't stick out in my head as much, but Tika and Verminard and Fizzban and all these other personalities are I'm pretty keen on them all.
And it's a good thing we cut where we did because we're about to just get an absolute slew of new characters in the next chapter.
Shit.
I was poking ahead a little bit to try and like figure out where we would end the next reading session. It's like, yeah, there's a name I don't know. There's a name I don't know. There's a name I don't know. That guy's named Doug. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
I'm serious. I'm pretty sure I saw a name that was just Doug.
I mean, you're probably not wrong. There is probably just a guy named Doug
Somewhere in the world. Dougal. That's who you saw, was Dougal. Yes.
Right.
Or maybe Dougal.
Dougal, Doug, same thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's actually named after Douglas Niles.
But we're getting
one
ahead
of the
of ourselves.
creators. Oh yes. Anyway.
Yeah. I don't know who any of these people are.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Who's Dougal?
Yeah. What kind of a nerd name is Dougal?
Yeah.
So, chapter 1 here of this new book, we get the like we get the like slug line on screen. 1941, occupied Solace. You know.
Yeah.
And we get Tika's POV. And it seems pretty grim. What do you guys think?
It does seem pretty. It does seem pretty grim.
Yeah, it was kind of heart wrenching a little bit because start of the book. This is a nice, warm, welcoming place, and at this current juncture, it's warm, but that's because of a fire.
Yeah. I like that. It's a very real chapter. It's a short chapter, but it's a very real chapter for the book, which again is, I think, something that they do very well. Is kind of grounding everything in reality, like not strictly with the fantasy tropes, right? Like Odic is kind of a beaten man at this point, after having his tavern picked up and physically like lifted out of a tree and like dropped onto the ground.
Oh yeah.
And they could have done the fantasy adventure thing and been like, and now the tavern keeper is assisting with a resistance in secret. But like, no, they're just like, no, he's old and scared of being sent to the slave mines because he would probably not even survive the journey with the way they treat everybody. And like Tika's pissed off because she's like young and fiery, but like, she also gets it that she's actually very vulnerable as just like one person in this situation. And so they're just like having such a hard time with it. And I think that those are very real situations, right?
They write her
not the fantasy situations.
They write her in this chapter so well. She very much does feel like a person who's just actually at the end of their rope. Someone who just has no hope in this situation.
Yep.
Well, yeah. I mean, their home was literally just devastated. I think a couple of nights before.
And she's deeply, Tika in general, I feel, is probably the most human of the humans because there's nothing particularly like special about her, right? Like she's the attractive tavern girl, like that's it. She's literally an NPC like concept in most fantasy worlds, and most fantasy stories. Like she's not from a magical family. She doesn't have any powers. She's not an elf or a half elf or from some like noble lineage or anything. She's just a peasant girl who works in a tavern and beats people up with kitchen utensils.
I got a great idea for a fantasy protagonist. It's about this barmaid who's got huge
exactly. And because of that, her perspective, in order to keep her interesting, I feel like they can't lean on any of the fantasy tropes that you would normally lean on for a character, right? Like her mysterious past or her lineage or any of that. She just has to be a real person in this bizarre situation. And it works really well. I think Tika's my favorite of the women of Dragonlance. Tika is hands down my favorite.
I've always liked Tika. I was pretty happy when she joined the squad.
Yeah. It's satisfying. It's good to have her there, and not just have her be an NPC who shows up sometimes to smooch on Caramon.
And I think we like to get into kind of the D&D of it all when it comes to a lot of this stuff. And it's kind of anathema to modern D&D to have like this group of characters who are probably anywhere between level 5 and 8. And then they just like have a level 1 fighter join them now, and she's clearly a level 1 fighter.
Yeah,
She is, yeah.
from what I've gathered,
it's a lot more. It was a lot more common to have quite varying levels of XP in old school Dungeons and Dragons.
yeah.
It was the game was built for that, actually, like originally. Every class has its own experience point advancement table, so the different classes advance levels at different speeds.
Yep.
To balance that, that was how we balanced their different abilities and power levels, right? You had an arc that you saw for their power scaling. Now everybody has to be at the same rough power level, give at any given level. But also if you have a party in old D&D, like Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and let's say you have a party and there's a level 10 fighter, and then someone brings in a level 1 fighter. By the time that level 10 fighter earns enough experience points to reach level 11, the level 10 fighter will have earned enough experience points to reach level 10. So the system is designed for this exact situation because you want to be there for all of your characters' baby steps and everything, theoretically, right? Or at least that's what the designers thought. Most people back then started at level 3.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have some mixed opinions about that. Occasionally, I do like just having my power, and but that is just a me thing, and I know that's not for everybody.
Yeah, but it's also fun sometimes in games because depending on what class the person brings in later in a game, it will for a while impact like party strategy, right? Because you have now a level 1 fighter in your party, and some of the people in the group are going to need to commit some energy toward making sure that level 1 fighter doesn't get killed as they
which
face
we do see.
Challenges perhaps beyond that.
We do see in chapter 8 of this, which we're not on yet, but see Caramon has to spare a fair bit of effort to keep Tika alive.
Yep, that's often
because she's level 1 and Caramon's level 5.
Yep.
Yeah, you kind of end up in like a squire position at that point, for a while, which again I think is interesting personally, because how often do you have the opportunity in a D&D game these days to play that dynamic where like not only are you like in the lore of the game like weaker or lower, lower status or something than like the more experienced warrior in the party, but like mechanically you are actually less powerful than the experienced warrior and actually need to make decisions that lean on them, and they need to make decisions that defend you, and it creates interesting gameplay that I don't think a lot of people get to experience, and that's a shame in my opinion.
I mean, I will probably find out when we play some AD&D, and I repeatedly die all the time.
Yes, someday.
It'll be great. I'm going to get headshot first 30 seconds in the campaign.
It always happens to you. It's crazy.
It is tradition.
Yeah.
I burnt my entire luck for one session.
Just make a character who comes in with like make a character whose last name is like Bullseye, and just give them an abnormally large head that just really tempt fate. Lean into it. And,
what I am thinking for at least one of the character concepts is just do an entire line of fighters with very similar but different first names, all from the same family. So
right.
It's a Gears of War Carmine family.
I am the 7th strongest son in my family. And next, I'm the 6th strongest.
Yeah,
you do the old the old like D&D copy pasta of like being a different Power Ranger every time.
Pretty much, yeah. It's going to be great.
So we can move on to chapter 2, since chapter 1 is more of a mood setting. So in chapter 2, of course, the gang gets back to Solus, and they try and maintain cover. But being that they are a D&D party, they fail to maintain cover.
Yeah.
Yes, because they want the conflict. Yeah.
See, when they got into town, I was immediately just like, all right, I give them 2 pages.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
you have to. These guys these Draconians and Toady and all these other people, they probably recognize them anyway, right? Like, so.
I mean, even if
they've already encountered them once.
Even if they didn't, they're the only people that look like they've had a meal in the last 3 days. So that's who I'd go after.
Plus, they're armed.
Yeah, plus all the armor.
Yeah. They're evil forces, and one of the guys is decked out in armor that is typically associated with the good guys, capital G, and then you got the half elf, and
the weird magical staff that one of them carries. And
the
gold tinted skin.
Both
that is
of them have
honestly
magical
really
staffs at
hard
this
to
point.
hide.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
Yeah,
the blue
yeah.
crystal staff doesn't exist anymore. It's gone.
Yeah, the blue crystal staff is gone.
Yes. Is it gone?
Yeah.
Is it really gone?
Didn't
I can
it
never
explode?
remember.
I'm pretty sure it exploded.
Yeah, it got exploded in a staff fight with the dragon. The dragon did not survive.
Yeah.
Your scaly girlfriend.
That's in my memory.
Giant scaly girlfriend. This is.
Yes.
I hate you all so very much.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The statue. It was put back in the statue's hands. Wow. I guess I just always remember her. I guess I just always remember Goldmoon having the staff. So like in my mind, I just always imagine
picture her with a staff in hand. She's, that's the iconic thing when you picture Goldmoon.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, does she still have does she get a new staff?
I know that it's mentioned, but I sure picture her with one.
Yeah.
She's got one in all the art, even when it's like many books down the line.
Although perhaps not. Does she carry? We'll see.
Yeah,
she's a cleric of a healing god now, so she might be limited in her weapon selection.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what her deity's preferred weapon is. I don't know what Mashaka's favorite weapon.
It's Riverwind. Riverwind is the preferred weapon.
Okay, 30 points to you.
Yeah.
So, on their escape, of course, they take Tika with them. This is obviously kind of a kindness because she was losing her mind here.
Yep.
And then they also meet Gilthanis, the elf.
Yes. Oh, Gilthanis. What a bro is Gilthanis.
What an elf.
What an elf.
He's the most
I find him such a strong elf character because you can tell that he's not like a bad guy, but that elven arrogance is so on display here.
Yeah. Which again, I really like how Margaret Weiss does make the non-human races seem, not human, and I really like that.
Yeah, it's essential, right? Like this is that gets to, I think, the conflict that a lot of people have sometimes with between old D&D culture, the grognards, and new D&D culture, because we do want them to be unique, and we want that Star Trek thing where the Klingons are all kind of thinking one way, and the Cardassians are all kind of thinking one way. Yeah, exactly. I think that's essential for elves, especially. Like if you want them to actually feel like something other than skinny, beautiful supermodel humans, they got to be kind of alien and above it all. Like
alien above it all. They can't think they think incredibly long term because 100 years is nothing for them.
Yep.
Then as they're getting captured and loaded up into carts, we get some nice little Raceland moments.
Oh yeah.
God, I love
Raceland. He's so good. He is, this is one of those things. I'm always saying these things like, and this is revealing in a very small piece of a broader puzzle of who he is. But it's true. This is the chapter, right, where he bundles up all of their stuff and puts a spell over them. But it's
heavy quotation marks.
a quote unquote spell that scares them all the Draconians, and makes them, they don't want to touch it because he's like, the giant snake god or whatever will come out of the ground and eat you. And they're like, no, or caterpillar. What was it that it's some big horrible creature. A snake, right?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. And so like, and they believe it. And this kind of shows, again, we already know by now that Raistlin has a flair for the dramatic, but like now we're kind of seeing that he has like a flair for the dramatic, right? Like,
yeah, as they said at the start of the book, like it seemed like a throwaway line about how like it didn't seem like they thought Raistlin was that powerful. They said Raistlin is half charlatan. But
yes.
You know, they knew what they were talking about. Yeah, Raistlin has some pretty good magic, but he's also got a lot of real good bullshit.
Yeah,
real good at bullshitting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's why he always sits in the dark corner of the tavern. It's not just because he's like doesn't like the light. He is intentionally choosing the most dramatic place to sit that he can, so that he can have the maximum impact on the people around him. Like I really believe that if he weren't, yeah, exactly. I was going to say if he wasn't such a jerk, he probably, and hadn't maybe been so sickly, he probably would have grown up to be the kid who's like, I want to be a magician, like, you know, like have a stage show, like.
No, he definitely reads me as like the hero D protagonist. It's great.
Yeah. Yep. He's great.
With again my boy Sturm being a jerk to Raistlin for hashtag reasons.
Yeah, so many reasons.
I like that. I like that a lot of his magic isn't real, because I think it plays really well against the pre-existing genre tropes. When we compare it to like Lord of the Rings, one of the things with Gandalf's magic is that we know Gandalf's magic is real, but it's also oftentimes very subtle. Gandalf makes the leaves flutter, but we know it's real magic because we have seen him do real magic. Whereas in this, we have seen Raistlin do real magic, but a lot of the stuff he does is not real magic.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you have 4 spell slots in a day, you got to make them count real good.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like in 5th edition, in the current editions of D&D, right, they've added the thaumaturgy spells and the prestidigitation spells that just kind of are there to let you do whatever little magical effect you want, like, ooh, the candles all light up when I go in the room or something. He's making
shit talking prestidigitation.
Oh no, I'm not going to. I'm not going to. I'm just saying, like, that is sort of the same thing here, right? Like, he's just kind of doing stuff that has no impact at all, but it looks neat, or he can use it to convince people of things, and the ignorant will believe him, and it works. And what's interesting for me, though, is of course that he's doing this in an edition where that kind of throwaway magic didn't exist. So for, this is very much a moment probably where the DM, he's like, hey, DM, can I just do like a little like cheap, like cheap little light show?
Can I wiggle my fingers and sparks come out, do some 0 level magic shit. Yeah.
And I think that is a great way to do it. But
which then gave birth to the spell prestidigitation.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Because they wanted to give you a mechanical. If the mechanic exists, then for a fact you can do it. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anything else anyone noticed in this chapter, or should we move on to captivity?
Well, I would say that, I don't know, how do we feel about Sturm handing over his sword? Because is this a growth moment for him, or was he just acquiescing under pressure, do you think? Like when Raistlin is like, trust me or don't, like, what do you think?
I don't know.
Is Sturm warming up to him?
I don't think so. Like, nothing has come across as Sturm warming up to him.
Yeah.
At least according to how I'm interpreting things. Other people might interpret that differently, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. To me, I think, like, Sturm has had to surrender and run away a lot, considering he's basically a samurai. And, they've always had to talk him into it. This is the one time where I'm kind of like, it doesn't feel super genuine to me. I don't know. I don't see a lot of characterization to it. I think, to me, it just felt like they were just like, all right, let's just not make a problem of this right now.
Yeah. Fair. Okay.
Yeah, 'cause,
Okay.
like Sturm probably saw the writing on the walls. If they choose to fight this fight, they won't be fighting anymore.
Yeah, no, that's real.
Yeah, it was again. It might have been one of those. If we were doing this at the tabletop, we as the players would have cut out in person and been like, "Nah, dude, it's like 9 o'clock. We want to go home. Please don't drag this out for 45 minutes."
Yeah. And then, of course,
I've
we
been
end the
there.
chapter with right. No, the only other thing I would mention, I suppose, is that they really end the chapter kind of sadly, don't they? Like with Tanis being like, "I wish I had died before I saw the tavern in ruin."
Yeah.
Man, what a shame.
Well, and
But also a nice
what
reminder that this was their home.
What a strange thing where you come back after 5 years to your home, you leave real quick for a long weekend, you come back and home's destroyed.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's almost like the writers were a little, wanted them to be a little tortured at this point in the story.
Yep.
Because they were gone for that long trip. You go back home. Everything is the way you remember it. Mostly there's some weirdos in town, but like, it's great. And then you're like, okay, we're going to go. And then you're coming back and you're expecting it to be just the same because it's only been a day or two. No.
Oh, geez.
Now it's
going away for a long
kerosene
weekend,
over it.
guys.
Exactly. Like now
Great.
it's destroyed.
Everything's going to be burnt down. And it's all Em's fault. I'm going away for a long weekend, and you're talking about the prophecy of doom and destruction. I'm leaving the province to go to a different province.
Well, if they burn down Edmonton,
you're replacing all of my Warhammer. Gotcha.
We are getting a wildfire season.
Oh, God, will stop reminding me that my province is going to be on fire in a couple of weeks. Surprisingly, I don't think it's happened yet.
Oh, good.
It happened last year really as much either, so I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was because we had such bad wildfires the year before. But anyway, I digress. Let's get to chapter 3.
Yes.
They're locked up.
More characters.
More characters.
My man Fizzban.
Man Fizzban. We get a little more from Gilthanas. We start to understand Tanis' backstory a bit more in this caravan ride and his interactions with Gilthanas. And they set up quite a big dynamic in very few words with Gilthanas and Laurana and everybody. They set all of that up over this caravan ride and only take like 3 or 4 sentences to do it. But it sets up quite the story for Tanis here.
Yeah, it does. And I think it's going to be the crux. Is it crux or crew? Because I never know. I know the band is Crew
Crux.
Shadows, but is it crux?
Pretty
It's the
sure
crux
it's
of his
crux.
Yeah, crux. Okay, I think it's the crux. This is kind of the crux of the Tanis story from here on out, right? Pretty much from here till time immemorial. It's Laurana's on the scene now, and this is our drama.
We've reached
only missing
tortured
one more
half
vital
elf
piece.
time.
Yep. He's going to start having to make decisions.
So, for everyone who's ever played with a tortured half-elf at your table, this is this is the tortured half-elf, really. Just from this little point onwards, it works so well. This is where the trope really got off the ground.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
what you're saying is it's all Tanis' fault.
I'm saying that, yes.
All right, well, that's good. Good. I now know who I can blame.
Yes. And so do the Draconians, because they should be blaming themselves for what they did to Theros Ironfeld.
The poor boy.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say he gets into the cart, and we get the scene where Goldmoon's going to heal him, and we get Gilthanas being a snooty elf and just like, oh, for God's sake, don't do that like barbarian ritual. Just let the man die in peace.
Right, yeah. Not knowing that she's got the magic touch.
Wouldn't I like do the same if like some like Christian cult faith healer showed up at my grandma's deathbed, you know?
Yeah,
right.
I'd be like, hey, stop doing that until, he pulls out penicillin and starts treating her injuries.
But why is she healing him? Why does Mr. Ironfeld require healing?
Because he doesn't have a hand on the situation anymore.
Yeah, no, he doesn't have an arm just to lean on. It's funny because I remembered him as having always been missing his arm. So this was like a nice bit of like, I guess, poetry, which we'll see well down the line in the series. But it turns out that the cruelty, I love these moments where the cruelty of the evil characters, right, is the thing that sets into motion like their ultimate undoing. And like this example of them like just taking a smith's arm so that he'll never be able to smith again is like
okay. And so I barely remember this character. I remember him the very slightest bit, but I don't remember very much of what happens to him or what he's about. But they do say, I remember the big thing he does. But anyway, They say, I think in this chapter, or one of the ones we've just read here, he's only got one arm unless he forges himself a new one.
Yeah.
It's foreshadowing. Obviously, he's going to make a cool iron arm for himself.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, so some iron-armed badass. Okay, I can dig this.
Or maybe some other kind of arm. Who knows? Who can say?
Some was the real Dragonlance.
Oh, what was that? Well, you cut out a lot right there.
Oh, I said he's going to, instead of an arm, he's going to have a Dragonlance.
Yes. Just on his arm, on his shoulder.
Oh, man.
Just kind of wiggles sideways at the dragons. Does like a little shuffle dance at them. No. But yeah, no. Theros is a crucial character in the Dragonlance series, even if he doesn't get a lot of page time. And this moment is really, I think, what enables him to become that crucial character. And the dragon army's done screwed themselves here. They signed their own undoing.
And that's why you just got to start executing people, guys. Don't just cut off our arm and be like, you got to put him down. That's how you
like
get
a dog.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. That is why I've never had a repeat villain.
Yes. And who else are we interested in? Well, Fizzban, of course. Fizzban. Everybody's eccentric uncle. Slightly
this was
senile.
one of my favorite characters as a kid, and I feel like he doesn't read as well to me as an adult. I was getting into this being like, oh, I bet I'm going to be annoyed by the Kender this time. Not really. The Kender are fine. It's Finn who's bugging me a little bit.
Love the Kender.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if Fizzban is... Well, he's Fizzban.
I don't dislike him because I get what they're doing. He's the high intelligence, low wisdom wizard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's essentially kind of, well, is he though?
I mean, he did cast the web on the party for reasons.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Or
he
the
does
random
things a lot.
Fireball at far too close of a range to make anybody comfortable.
That also didn't solve the problem at all. I mean, it kind of did indirectly.
You cut out some more.
Oh, really? Oh, I said...
Austin, did you hear him cut out there, Austin? Or
yeah.
I just got okay. So it's not me. Okay.
I had said... Yeah, he cast the fireball at like the least useful time, didn't really accomplish its goals. It kind of did indirectly, but that's because the party improvised. He just like, they were like, get rid of the door, and he like casts a fireball through the iron bars.
Mm-hmm.
And they were able to bend them because they were hot after that, but that was more of a byproduct of the bad plan.
Yeah, although I gotta say, should we be paying attention to these bungles, these fizzbangles? Because I feel like we might see them having a sort of a positive effect ultimately, regardless of how clumsy he is as a caster. Cast a fireball, now the bars can be bent. What happened when he cast a web on the party? Quite a few things. I think that even though he messes up all the time, somehow, by luck or happenstance or things not yet revealed, he's able to turn it around. It seems like it's the right mistake to make, if that makes sense.
He definitely makes the right mistake at the right time, usually.
Yeah. He's which is why I'm wondering, like, would we call him low wisdom, or would we instead maybe say, like, I don't know, is he just old?
I'm sticking with high intelligence, low wisdom, mostly because he could be as far as I could tell, he could be forgetful. But that's not necessarily like a bad thing. It can be a fun character.
I'll have to say, kudos to Margaret Weiss for being the one time I have ever seen the word dotard used not as just an insult.
Oh, yeah.
Using it the correct way.
Yes. He's a lovable, fun old man, and unless you're Raceland, of course, in which case he's apparently terrifying for some reason.
Yeah.
If Raceland and you've studied for years and given everything to learn magic, and here's just this old guy who's like, aha, fireball, ooh, fascinating.
Splendid, yes.
I don't know. I have a sinking feeling that while Raceland was in magical high school, he read about Fizzban and is like, oh no, nothing good can come from this nonsense.
Right. He definitely knows. I mean, we definitely should maybe be trusting Raceland's reaction to Fizzban toward the end of the chapter more than everybody else's.
Oh, yeah.
Because consistently, Raceland seems to be the one who knows the most about any given situation.
Well, that's because Raceland is always right. It's a foundation I'm starting.
I do like a couple chapters down the line when Tanis is trying to convince Fizzban to not come with them, and he just does more, fiddle-dee-dee, of course I'm coming. And, he and Raceland, Tanis and Raceland just make eye contact, and Raceland's just like, you get it now.
Exactly.
Yeah, Fizzban is a higher level wizard than him. He doesn't listen to you.
Yeah. It's true.
It's the ultimate downside of having a 3rd level king try to boss around a 12th level adventuring party.
Yeah. And so I think, was there anything else in chapter in chapter 3 that was important?
Not as far as I know. We were getting introduced to some new characters. We went on a little ride. We caught up on Tanis's backstory. I think that's about it.
All the cages of prisoners. Yeah. I guess we do kind of get. It is kind of used it is kind of used as a way to show the devastation the dragon armies have been wreaking, right? To see that it's not just soulless. They do sort of get carted through all these different towns that have been destroyed by the dragon army. So that's kind of a good use of a good narrative moment there. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah,
Chapter 4.
We can move on to number 4.
Cute little
the rescue
elf warfare.
Yes.
We've already discussed the fireball that happened and the web.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the event that happened was this slave caravan was driving through the forest, and they were ambushed by elves.
Yeah.
And they had to convince a gully dwarf to help them escape. This poor, long-suffering gully dwarf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in his goblin armor.
I'm still here for good old gully dwarves.
We get a little bit more about Huma from Fizzban, right? Calls him the Knight of Truth and Power and forged the mighty Dragonlance. And so we name drop the Dragonlance. And then Fizzban's like, what? That's goofy as fuck. Or that's goofy as hell. Dragonlance. And then he kind of confirms that that Huma and the Dragonlance were real. And everybody is shocked and surprised.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about that elf ambush?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Well done, I think.
Yeah, well, that's just because I love ambushes. From a military standpoint, they're pretty fucking rad.
The thing I liked about it is the elves clearly didn't care too much about the captives.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of wasn't their main target. Their main target was wiping out more of the Draconians because of stuff we will find out later. And it makes sense on why they don't care about the captives, because one, they're not elves. Elves are looking out for their own right now.
I think they were mostly looking for Gilthanas and remnants of the expedition, which is why they were kind of just like not too careful with their arrows, because they were like, well, that's mostly humans. The odds are good if we hit one or two of them. Odds are good it won't be one of the elves, so we don't have to be too careful. But they did still help people out of their cages.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it was a secondary objective because, I mean, if you free these people, they will go tell more people, and that might start spreading, getting reinforcements. Because the elves, as we know, they don't have a large standing army, so they're kind of fucked because of the invasion that's happening. Right.
And, of course, I think part of why they are helping the humans at all is because these are the Qualinesti elves. For those with the Dragonlance lore, the Qualinesti are the Elven nation that is the friendliest to humans, such as they are. They're still uppity and haughty, but they're the ones who regularly work and trade with human societies. The other two, the Sylvanesti and Kaganesti, do not. They do not play nice with other people.
And we see kind of everything double down when we get to once the prisoners are freed, Gilthanas and the elven saviors just kind of go like, okay, humans, you can head that way. Goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, they did give the humans supplies to leave, which is mighty nice of them, all things considered.
They're to go. Not an extra mile for these humans. They're willing to go an extra, like, half a foot.
Well, I mean, they freed them, they gave them food. Like, that is better than them leaving them in a cage.
I guess.
You know, it's not great, but I'd rather have, a light lunch and not be in a cage.
You do end up having to have yet another one of those classic Dragonlance negotiations. It's beginning to feel like this is just part of the series DNA. Characters just have to talk each other into things all the time in Dragonlance, and I really like it.
Yeah. Well, again, it's one of those things that feels a lot like playing D&D with friends. Occasionally you have to talk the other party members into, cooperating.
Never just a conversation in Dragonlance. It's always a social encounter.
Yep.
I mean, they've got to farm the roleplay XP somehow, guys.
Yeah. Well, the way the characters are designed in general, right, is it's kind of contrary to the way a lot of people think about building a party of adventurers in contemporary and current D&D, because they're all built with like a sort of a linked backstory. Like, they all have ties to each other, and even characters who are introduced like seemingly out of nowhere are actually like tied to at least one person in the party. But they also have a lot of conflicts built in, and not just like personal conflicts, but like cultural conflicts. You know, Sturm has all his whole, oath and measure of the Solamnic Knights, and then you have the different cultures that some of the characters like Riverwind and Goldmoon come from. You have Raceland with all of his magical, nonsense, and they are designed almost to have disagreements, right? Like at every opportunity. So you kind of have to talk to each other in character a lot and get people to agree and see why a certain course of action is important. Because it's not going to be the way a lot of people prescribe D&D now, which is like, just go along with the action, right? Instead, it's like, I need to convince you that this is something your character would do. And in the days before, it's what my character would do was the D&D equivalent of like, saying a rude word in front of your grandmother or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple of those. It's what my character would do, and it turned out surprisingly okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I still play this way, where like I like to try and get, these situations where I have to be convinced, not because I, the player, need to be convinced, but because the character needs to be given the proper motivation.
You don't say. You don't say.
Check out Handful of Nerds for an example of the action. No,
new episodes coming soon.
Yeah. But yeah, so I agree with you, Will. Basically, that was a lot of words to say. I agree with you. It's nice that they have to convince each other of stuff.
Well, I mean, I think
those
that's
pod
why
hours
people
somehow.
tune
Yeah.
in, is to hear us say a lot of words. I mean, it's why we record like a 2-hour podcast.
Yeah.
Which, let's keep this moving. Let's get into chapter 5. But first, a thrilling bathroom break. I'll be right back.
A word from our sponsors. Have you heard of the concept of potatoes? They are a root vegetable.
Wow. What's a root vegetable?
It is a vegetable that grows underground and tastes delicious. Whoa. Like the potato.
That's crazy.
Did you know there's so many things that you can do with the potato?
Like what?
You can boil them. You can mash them. You can cut them up into chips.
But where will I find the time?
Oh, well, you can find the time anytime with instant mashed potatoes. They come in a box. You add water.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
It is. Do you want to know a fun fact that some people continue to try to push? The Great Famine in Ireland wasn't caused by the potatoes. It was caused by greedy landlords.
My goodness. And also a disease, but yeah.
Well, yeah, the potato plague did in fact happen, but when you're only allowed to grow one crop, because when you're exporting food, you can't call it you can't blame it solely on the potato.
Yeah,
you can blame it on landlords.
Not just the landlords, but the English crown. Ireland at one point was the strongest economy in Western Europe because of everything they exported, and so then they were like, okay, well, you can't export cattle anymore because you're dominating the beef market. Okay, but now you're dominating the pork market. You can't dominate that either, and whittled them down to just potatoes.
Well, because again, the potatoes were going for themselves. They were still farming lots of crops.
But when you're not exporting, you can't afford to make a lot of a thing, So
You didn't have a bunch of potatoes.
Yeah,
right. The elves of Qualinosti.
Anyways, oh boy, howdy.
Speaker, Chapter 5, the Speaker of the Spuds.
Yeah, don't worry, Will. You can cut all of my rants about the Great Potato Famine.
We'll see.
The Speaker of the Sons. The Sons, interesting.
Of the Spuds, yes.
Yes.
I feel,
behind the scenes.
Maybe I'm wrong here, I feel like this chapter was a fair bit of set dressing to a degree. It was like, look, elf stuff.
Yeah. They were waxing poetically about elf stuff and how elf stuff is super pretty, even though, I'll be real here, I preferred the Trees of Solace to elf towers made by dwarfs.
Yeah. We'll get, we did get a real good... Go ahead.
Some of that set dressing is cool.
Well, go ahead.
Some of that set dressing is cool. 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 Some of that set dressing I was going to say some of that set dressing is pretty interesting in terms of like lore implications, though, because, you know,
Absolutely.
in Tolkien-esque fantasy, for instance, right, there's always a stark divide between elves and dwarves, right? Like it's very rare that they don't hate each other because they're supposed to be like different opposite poles of this sort of fantasy race experience. But here we see, you know, they're describing the these sort of monumental towers of Qualinost. And actually, it seems like quite a bit of these towers were constructed for the elves by the dwarves. You know, they say graceful arches swooping from spire to spire soared through the air, crafted by ancient dwarven metalsmiths. They were strong enough to hold the weight of an army, yet they appeared so delicate a bird lighting on them might overthrow the balance. Which is interesting because that style of architecture would normally be in other fantasy settings entirely elven, and dwarves would be given like heavy, geometric, whatever. But like, no, it looks like at a minimum, the dwarves and elves of Qualinost probably got along at least at some point in their past for them to have built them these monuments.
The tiny little subversion that I really like in this chapter is that Flint knows these elves. It's pretty subtle, and he's clearly on Tanis's side. But it's not like a Gimli situation where he's like, goddamn elves, and then he rolls in and is like, oh, wow, actually, elven society is so beautiful. It's more like, you know, Flint is like... Flint is talking to his best buddy's parents, who he is estranged from, and Flint's like, oh... Hey, Mrs. P. Good to see you again. I'm gonna get going now. You know.
Yeah. He understands the elven etiquette, and he knows that it's gonna be a big pain in the ass. But like for once, Flint is not being racist.
Yeah. I'm proud of him.
Yeah. It's growth, you know.
Not like a lot of growth, but you know.
Yeah. But we also do learn because of these conversations that the Qualinesti are you know, is Tanis's people. This is in a way a homecoming for the young man, the young bearded
not
man.
A welcome one for anyone involved, but damn, is it content?
Oh
yes.
Yeah.
It's soap opera time in Ansalon.
Yep. It is a pretty interesting dynamic, I think, that they set up this little web of characters. It's not just like Tanis has one or two relationships here. There's like this little web of connections that is all very influenced with each other, with the whole Gilthanis and Laurana and their dad thing. It's it's complicated in kind of a real way.
Yeah. They're building an elven telenovela, an alpha novella, if you will.
Yeah. Also,
you know?
that Gilthanis, like, what a snake. He's like, Tanis is my best buddy, except he likes my sister. Ew, you fucking human, get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
That's disgusting. I trusted you.
Yeah, oh. I can't believe it. Yeah. He, but that's also, I mean, that's kind of brother behavior, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a bit, yeah.
As somebody with two sisters, I get it.
Yeah. I love how in the cart, Gilthanis was like, "Are you the traitor?" And Tanis is like, "No, why would I be?" And he's like, "You have a beard like a human."
Gross. Yeah. But of course, these guys, Gilthanis and Tanis, are actually like, it's easy to forget, but by elven standards, they are quite young still, right? Like they're older than everyone else in the party, but they're still themselves essentially the equivalent of like 18, 19, 20-year-old dudes. So like they're not very mature, actually. They're more mature than the humans, but once they're on the same level, talking to people who are on the same level, the immaturity comes out all of a sudden.
And I think it's quite fun the way that a lot of the conflict here isn't just like elf versus human racism. It's the fact that they were maturing at different rates, because Tanis does mature faster than a full-blooded elf. So, like, with Gilthanas, he definitely feels like a brash 19-year-old with a grudge in a way, whereas Tanis does not read like a 19-year-old. Tanis reads like he's 25. He's got a few regrets under his belts. He wants to make he wants to make things a little bit better, but he's not here for the fight. Gilthanas is still kind of here for the fight. He's still pretty hot-blooded and young.
Yep. And some other people are a little hot-blooded too. In this chapter, like our man.
I have one thing I
Raceland
want to say. Oh, what was Raceland doing in this chapter?
Raceland is being just a bit of a prankster. He, for once, he trips. He tries to trip Fizzban, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or he doesn't try to trip Raceland, but he accuses a tree of trying to trip him. And Raceland is just kind of like, yeah, sure, dude. Like, so like he's being a bit nasty. To the wizard.
What that, and I mean, I believe Fizzban in here. You can't trust trees; they're up to sneaky stuff.
Entirely possible.
He's right. Also, I gotta say, some flawless setup and payoff with Fizzban here, where, they put like a page or two before as a little lore detail that, the speaker, that is so entrenched, that title. Nobody calls him by his real name. Even his kids don't call him by his name. Everyone calls him the speaker. And then out of nowhere, Fizzban just is like, so name... Just like says his name out of nowhere. Real great setup and payoff.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because Fizzban is, I hesitate to call him the GM insert character, but he is he is kind of the an avatar for the game master, isn't he? Because if I recall correctly, he's most of these characters who join the party in the original D&D modules are playable characters. They're player characters that you can take charge of. But Fizzban is not one of them. He is one of the very few members of the party who is strictly an NPC. If I recall, he's casting like either 3rd or 4th level spells. I don't remember what Fireball is off the top of my head.
Yeah,
you can take my D&D card away.
Right. Yep. There's that, and he also clearly exists to disrupt and push the action along. Right. So I think you're feeling that he is sort of the insert of the great cosmic force of the game masters is probably correct.
Yeah. And it is 3rd level spell. He's casting at least 3rd level spells.
Yeah.
I'm sure that remains true in old editions as well.
Yes. Yeah, if you're not inserting yourself into the adventure periodically to push the players along, are you really game mastering? Really?
I mean, you might be. You might have a party that is actually like they're picking up the cues. I know it's a thing that has literally never happened in any game I've been a part of. But most of the time, the GM just has to say, fuck it, and we ball.
The elves get all upset about the trees in this chapter when they hear about Solus.
Because, again, you can't trust the trees.
No, they get upset because the tree's been cut down.
Oh, right. Yeah, sorry. My bad.
It's actually, to me, that, like, when I read that, it started to go down a bit of a rabbit hole, like, why are there not elves living with the Valenwood trees? You would think that would be, like, where they'd want to be if those are, like, the giant ancient trees.
Yeah.
If I know one thing about elves, it's that they love giant ancient trees.
They sure do.
I mean, again, as somebody who has not read any of the other books, there might be some grim, dark explanation in one of the other, 30-plus books. But chances are where they're at is just where the dwarves were building the towers for them, and that's where they decided to set up home.
Likely. I mean, I think it suggests that their love of the trees, that even though they aren't the trees that are their home, they're that upset about hearing of their destruction, right?
Because they're a bunch of tree huggers.
When they see people enslaved in cages and the elves are very like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, this is sad for them, I guess, like whatever. But then they hear like, oh yeah, the forest got cut down, and all of a sudden they're all wailing and gnashing their teeth and crying out so much as like a community that the speaker has to be like, shut up, like order. I know it's upsetting, guys, but come on, like. That's like that really, again, it's that alien mindset, right? Like they're not bothered so much by what's being done to the short-lived people, but to the trees.
Exactly. Well, because those trees
global warming is real.
Old. Yeah, 1,000-year-old tree is going to matter a lot more to an elf who lives for 1,000 years than a 50-year-old human.
Yeah, well, especially if they have a magical or spiritual connection to those trees as well, right? Because for them, the trees are kind of like people, I believe. That's sort of how they
and that's
think
why
of them.
Fizzban is right for not trusting them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Shall we chapter 5 then?
Yes, we can.
Chapter 6. I mean.
Wait. We get a description of Verminard in this chapter, but that's it. And then I think we can move on to
Verminard, the most trustworthy man in all of history.
Mm-hmm.
Very trustworthy. He's a cleric.
I know that if somebody said, "Hey, my name is Verminard, you can trust me. I will make Solus great." You can trust him.
Yeah. We also see, of course, that Tika is a little jealous of other ladies, but
we definitely, when we catch that glimpse of Laurana, she definitely like they see her and it's like she's the protagonist, and everyone's just like, oh, I didn't realize we were side characters now. What?
Yeah. Who is this goddess that walks amongst us? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And
Tika, who's like primary characterization thus far as being a hot barmaid, is like, wow, I'm hideous.
Yeah. And how dare Caramon like look at her at all?
Yeah, Caramon's only supposed to have a hots for me.
Yeah.
God damn.
But yeah. I think that does do it for chapter 5. So
yeah. So chapter 6, after everyone fawns over Laurana, Tanis runs away and Tass goes to spy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tanis
because
is like,
Tass
it
had zero anything going on the last couple of chapters.
Also, quick throwback for Tass. We had a Tass moment we skipped over. Tass, the man named Tasselhoff, has the gall to say, Fizzban, that's not a real name.
Well, that is because in Kender lore, Tasselhoff is a brave, strong name given to the most noble and grand future heroes. Thank you very much. Do not shit talk Tasselhoff.
That was my bad. So he goes to spy on Tanis and Laurana, and here we see Laurana tries to pick right back up with Tanis.
Because they got a history.
Yeah.
History.
Yeah, a very awkward history.
Yeah. She also has history with Flint, you know. And
well, not the same kind.
Yeah, not the same kind.
Yeah. Flint made her toys when she was a child.
Yeah, and I mean, our boy Tanis and them were engaged, you know. But the classic, don't marry your stepsister.
Yeah. You're right, yeah.
It's weird.
But again, it does, with Flint, the only reason I bring up Flint is because it is, again, showing us that the elves and the dwarves in this world actually seem to get along pretty well. Because she's like, we've missed you, Flint, like, you know, all of these years. And he's like, oh.
Yup. So with Laurana, remember at the beginning I said this is the character where I'm going to get obnoxious. The fun part is I'm not going to get obnoxious about Laurana for a while. Because Laurana's one of those characters who really has a big story arc. Because we see that, Tanis and Laurana were kind of on the same page a little bit before he left, but he has grown up a lot. He has seen a lot of the world. He, as we said, he's got a few regrets. He's made a few mistakes. He sees the world a little differently. Laurana is still such a child right now.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. And it's like she's here, but like not really yet in the party, right? Like she's kind of in NPC mode right now.
It's very fun to watch her character arc because, like, I don't know if you guys know, but you know what matures people real fast? War.
Yeah. War does do that to people.
Yeah, from what I've heard, I'll be honest though, I've never actually engaged in war.
That's why I'm still mentally a child.
Speaking of being engaged,
in a war, or
what it good for?
Yeah,
being engaged
in
the short
I guess
term.
helping elf maidens grow up.
Yes. No. Speaking of Tanis and Laurana are, it turns out, or at least Laurana believes that she and Tanis are engaged, betrothed rather. And Tanis seems to disagree.
Yeah.
Tanis, this feels very much like, we were like 5 years old and we said we were going to get married. What are you talking about? That's not a real engagement.
Right. Top 10 classic anime plot lines. My best friend, I promised to marry my best friend and now she's hot and annoying. Like,
yeah, I'm pretty sure I've watched that anime.
Yeah. And he's very firm about it though, or he's trying to be very firm about it, but she's doesn't seem to be having it. She's pretty aggressive about her affection.
She's aggressive about affection in the way that is very like, you're a teenager and this is the story you've written for yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
And Tanis is going to come back for me and we're going to run away and we're going to be together and,
And he's going to shave his beard, but I guess I could learn to like it because he's Tanis. He's my boyfriend.
No, keep the beard. Beards contain all of your earthly powers, trust me.
But yeah, no, it's the whole. I mean, that's basically all of chapter 6, right? Is just Tanis and Laurana
like 4 pages.
being like, marry me.
It was
I'm not going to marry you.
Really easy chapter to go through.
Yeah. And also I guess she's kind of trusting it, maybe a little naive at this point still, right? Because he's like, you told Gilthanis, and she's like, of course I told him, and he's like, gosh,
I tell my brother everything.
Everything. Yeah.
That's why Gilthanis was double pissed.
Actually, did we find out exactly how many years he's been gone from here? It feels a little ambiguous.
Time.
Yeah.
It is ambiguous, but it's definitely been a long time because...
how old is Tanis at the start? He's like 100 and something?
Something, 120 something, I think.
And he was 80 when he left. So yeah, it's been like 40 years.
Yeah, because he was gone for 5 years looking for the gods like all the other members of the core party. But then he was also present in Solus like while like Caramon and all of them were like growing up.
Yeah.
And, so... Yeah, definitely decades of time. But to the elves, that's not a lot of time at all, which, kind of, again, like you had mentioned in when we were talking about his arguments with Gilthanis, right? That they mature at different rates, right? And that's sort of, again, we're seeing that now where like for Laurana, it was yesterday, right? And for him, it's been a long time. And so like they've been processing all of this at like different speeds. And that I think is really at the core of their conflict there. They come from different worlds.
I find it a very engaging plot line, to be honest. Just this like the difficulties of aging at different rates from everyone around you, and like the drama that causes. That's I find it's done really well here. Maybe better than any other fantasy fiction I've seen. Dragonlance isn't afraid to like use melodrama to deliver like good fantasy story and world building.
Yes. Yep. It's the telenovela that they're building in here. It's so good. But so soap opera-y, like. And I didn't really realize how soap opera it was when I was first reading it, but now I'm realizing that Margaret Wise really was kind of sneaking that. It's kind of like hiding broccoli in someone's like birthday cake. I mean, maybe not in a birthday cake, but like in the spaghetti, you know?
I gotta tell you, reading this as a teenager, you know, I was on like Tanis's side the whole time. Tanis was always my boy. I mentioned this. So when Tanis was at first like no to Laurana, I want to be with Kitiara instead, I was like, all right, I support you, buddy. And then he said that one fucking line that did psychic damage to my like edgy teenage heart. He was like, I'm divided, just like my blood.
Yeah.
I was sent reeling. That was like the line that changed everything for me.
Yeah.
Did it still hit as hard?
Not even close.
Yeah.
Real cheesy line.
Yeah.
It's
like,
real good when you're 15, though.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
I mean, the line kind of tracks because he is an edgy, like, 20-something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't know if I wouldn't say Tanis is edgy. He's more like he's definitely got a history of being like a fuckboy.
I'm just saying anyone that says, and divided like my blood is pretty fucking edgy.
Well, yeah, that's fair. But that's a rare moment for the man. Give him a break.
Hey, we've all had edgy moments in our mid to early to mid 20s. Some of us even grew out of that phase.
Yeah, exactly. But it's
actually really embarrassing. But I think that line, from what I remember, is when I decided as a teenager I wanted to be a writer. It's really embarrassing that it all goes back to that line, but I'm pretty sure that was the moment.
Let's send that. Let's clip that and send it to Margaret Wise, and then get her on the podcast.
I mean. I got into writing poetry because I won a poetry contest. Nice. My fucking, I think it was elementary school or junior high.
Yeah. I got into poetry, into writing poetry because of the songs in the Dragonlance books, actually.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, poetry.
Yes.
You still write any poems?
Not in quite a while, but in a few years. But yes,
yeah. You wanna maybe do a poetry huff one of these days between these and you?
Yeah. I'll bring out my cringe 5th grade poetry if you.
No. We'll write some new poems together.
Okay.
Something less fucking depressing.
All right, we're getting long on time, so let's get to chapter 7.
Yes. 7.
The Druid Slide Squad mission gets planned.
Yeah. Yep.
I forgot that we're not allowed to say the S word.
YouTube will 1984 censor us.
It's true. And not even intentionally. The algorithm will just do it. Like, But, yep. But this is a cool... chapter 7 is a pretty cool chapter. So when the adventure, we get back into the adventure planning begins.
Because the Speaker of the Sun, he does his whole monologue and sets the adventurers off. Kind of skipped over that, but the elves were very sad. There was a song involved.
Yeah, there was some singing. Yeah. And it's serious when there's singing in a fantasy novel.
I mean, I couldn't figure out what the beat was supposed to be when I was reading it, so that was hard for me.
Right. Well, knowing Dragonlance, I'm pretty sure there's probably some sheet music out there somewhere.
But you know what I'm not going to look up at 4 a.m. when I was reading this book? The sheet music.
That's what separates you from me, Austin.
Yeah, I'm happily married, and I have stuff to do at 4 in the morning, namely be asleep.
Find me a waifu. I want to be happily married.
We're trying, and we haven't even got the resumes in.
Austin bringing up his marriage. Blah.
We can't help you've narrowed it down to only women who like being called waifus. Do you know how slim you've made your dating market?
I'll take a man who likes waifus as well. At least we'll have something in common.
Okay, you know what? That's fair. Yeah, see, I only have one personality trait since I gave up smoking, and that's being a wife guy.
Oh, okay, fair. But yeah, this is sort of the chapter where after the singing and whatnot, they strategize, and everybody kind of reaffirms their commitment to the cause.
Yeah, because they try to split the party again to get some people to avoid harm, and everyone's like, "Nah, dog, I'm going to war."
Yeah, this is bigger than your last little adventure off to some ruins to put a relic back in a temple. This is actually geopolitical now.
Yeah, we're not breaking up a fellowship, guys. We've read Lord of the Rings. We know what happens when you split the party. Nothing good. Seriously, like, the Hobbits got like 80% of the solo experience points, and we got nothing.
Yep.
There is a Raceland moment here that I like quite a bit. But we also, I think, get told about Verminard. Do we want to talk about Verminard and the war situation first, or what do we want to talk about here for this chapter?
We should probably talk about Verminard, the most trustworthy man in all fantasy.
What do we want to say about old Vermi?
Yeah. Go on.
Oh God, what? Me?
You brought him up.
That's true. I mean, they just kind of bring him. They're just kind of discussing him more by name and his strategies and his motivations right now, right? Like how he is, he's going to be killing people a lot because he doesn't need them anymore, and they're a drain on his military's resources. He's like mining, like essentially strip mining as much ore as possible to outfit his armies. And that's sort of the big motivation right now for their current march. And the enslavement of all these people at Pax Tharkis, which is obviously the next goal. Pretty much. That's it. And then we also get some talk about the Dragonlances again.
Yeah, we get a little more Dragonlance talk. I like that the elves are kind of cutthroat with this, where they're like, well, in order to beat Verminard, we just have to throw humans at the problem. It feels very much like the U.S.'s post-war on terror battle tactics in the Middle East, where they're like, we're not going to go in there, but we're going to find some like rebel group and we're going to back them. Actually, I suppose that's not even post-war on terror, but you know, they've been doing that for decades. But
that was the whole Cold War.
Yeah, so they're doing Cold War stuff that like, listen, it's real tough out here. We're going to give you guys some fancy elven weapons and send you guys to go and like free a bunch of prisoners, and they'll be the army that defeats the dragon guy. We're going to be over here. We'll send you all stuff you need, but from a distance.
Yeah, we're going to give you some elven chains, some elven swords, and get the fuck out. But you can take my son.
Yes,
take my only begotten son.
There's a second. There is another. An elder son, even. Gilfanis is kind of the, not quite the fail son, but he's the loose cannon free prince.
He's the backup son that you only want around in case your main son dies.
A spare and a lady for a royal marriage, and that definitely would have been wasted on Tanis.
Absolutely. There would have
plan.
been no political machinations there.
Yep.
Yeah. And so they have that whole conversation. We see Raceland get a little bit more respect again from Tanis, especially because, you know, Tanis is like asking Raceland for some information, and Sturm is like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And then Tanis just straight up ignores Sturm this time, and it's just like, well, Raceland like isn't even entertaining Sturm's bullshit right now.
Yep.
But Raistlin is like, you heard him. Like Raistlin's already like done with it. He's like, I'm not going to help you. Sturm mouthed off. I'm over it. Like, nah, bro.
We missed a great moment with Raistlin way earlier, back when they were being captured. Because you can tell Goldmoon really is in with the party now, because even she was accusing Raistlin of being a traitor very suddenly.
Yes,
like
out of nowhere.
He's a traitor.
Yeah.
You'd think the guy would have earned... Like, I mean, obviously he's an obvious bad guy, but like at some point he's earned a little trust, right?
Right? Again, what bad guy stuff has he done besides being a little bit of a jerk?
Well, you know, it's I think part of it, other than he's a jerk, is that he advertises his neutrality, right? Because he's a wizard and his robe is red because he is neutral aligned. And in the cosmic sense, neutral here is like, this is the old school sense of like maintaining a balance between good and evil, right? Not just I don't have a side, but it's like I am actively engaged in maintaining the balance between good and evil. If that requires furthering the interests of evil, then that's what neutral adventurers will do. Right. Yeah. And if they have to further the interests of good, then that's what they'll do. Like, but it's an active ethic or an ethos. And so it's not strange for the good people to be like, I can't trust that. I can't trust these filthy neutrals. Like, you know.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, he had your back when you were getting ready to sacrifice yourself and stuff. Like, because I would trust that.
Because it was necessary.
Well, no, I'm just going to hold out like, oh, yeah, he might be a neutral, but at least he's one of the good ones.
Is he?
Yes. Classic neutral good.
Yeah. Oh, no. That's not how the neutral... These are the primary alignments for the Wizards of High Sorcery. You can choose lawful or chaos as you want, but you're either good, neutral, or evil.
Okay, fine. He's good to neutral then. He's got some good sides.
Good neutral.
Yeah,
neutral. I think he's true. I think he's pretty sure he's true neutral at this point. Neutral.
We do get one more visit from Laurana, this little area, where she's clearly not fully given up on Tanis. She kind of goes to see him in the middle of the night, and we get the very first glimmer, because we actually get a little snippet of this where we're seeing it through her POV. We see the very first tiny grow up moment from her of like, oh, Tanis isn't the same guy who left. He could have killed me if I just like snuck up on him like that. So it's the very first crack in the naivete.
Yeah, yeah. The first necessary one too, because for her to grow, she has to stop fixating on this man who doesn't exist.
Yep. If he ever did.
Yeah. Speaking of growth as well for women, Tika doesn't necessarily grow in this chapter, but she expresses an interest in growing to be a swordswoman, like a particular swordswoman that she grew up around, right? She wants to grow up to be like Kitiara
in the book, but you could definitely you could mentally see the class selection screen going up there.
Yeah.
For Tika.
Oh, 100%. Mm-hmm. And she wants to be a fighter like Kitiara, the dark horse warrior woman who never showed up to join the party at their reunion at the beginning of the book.
It sure doesn't hurt that the person she will take sword lessons from happens to be a big beefy himbo boy. That's not class selection either.
No,
What, she's gonna go Raistlin? We're gonna spend a lot of time together so you can teach me.
Yeah. But Kitiara's mentioned, of course, we get reminded that this has an emotional impact on Tanis. Like the moment the name is mentioned, they describe it like he feels like he was punched, right? So there's probably some more story there coming on down the road. Raistlin hushes Fizzban, which I think is very funny. What else is there?
I think that's basically everything in this chapter.
Yeah, Tanis and Raistlin do have a conversation in camp talk. We get get a little lore drop.
I love camp talk.
Yeah, they have a dialect of common that is like more simple.
It's like thieves can't, but specifically for mercenaries. I read that and I just like my jaw dropped because I was like, why has D&D not maintained this? Camp talk is such a cool idea.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it makes sense for mercenaries because they're probably joining armies, right? And they're not necessarily like loyal to. They're just loyal to the coin. So of course they're going to want to be able to talk amongst themselves.
Well, and on
while
top
they're
of that,
at like an army camp. Yeah.
If we're talking mercenaries, like we're talking a bunch of humans and dwarves and people from all over, and they don't all speak the same language. So like it forms a Creole as you're in the armies. It makes total sense that if there's lots and lots of mercenary action going on like this, then it would form like a language Creole. In real, like mercenaries were like quite a big like they were very much tied to your original culture kind of thing. Like famously, like one of the top mercenary companies in Renaissance Italy was entirely made up of English people.
Right. Yep. And I mean, even in the Italian Commedia dell'arte, the character of Capitano is meant to represent all of the different foreign mercenary groups that were just living in Italy for a long time.
Yeah. If Dragonlance isn't like that, it would make total sense that mercenaries would form a Creole of all their languages.
Absolutely. And we see them speaking it. They use English, of course, for the sake of the reader, but they make them speak like a very broken English, right? Like, I speak you this, Raistlin. We talk if want. But what do they speak about? It seems they speak about Fizzban and kind of explain a little bit about why Raistlin is so like apprehensive around the old buffoon. He tells Tanis that there's a lot of power within the old man, and that he fears that power, but also hungers for it. But trying to stop him from following them or doing anything that Fizzban does is apparently a bad idea and dangerous. So,
yep,
yeah, yep,
yeah,
and we get that word doddering again.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, we got one more chapter, so let's get it done.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're headed towards the secret tunnel.
Yes.
Secret tunnel.
Secret tunnel. Through the mountains. The Slamori.
I left a nice space there for you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
I knew you'd all have to get it out of your system. And they are ambushed on the way after Caramon has given Tika a couple sword lessons and admired her legs.
Yes.
As one does.
You know. Yeah.
I can't even be mad. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a will they, won't they. It was a they will, but when.
So, yeah.
And then they
Pretty
go
soon
for the
too, I think, if I
this chapter.
Yeah.
They get into a little ambush. Tika makes her first couple swings, and all this elf equipment that she was gifted, she's not very good at it. She's clearly meant to be like a beefy kind of fighter style thing. And they gave her finesse weapons.
Yeah, no, she's an earthy, she's like a lusty, busty woman of the people, right?
And the defense of the elves here, they only have, stick weapons for skinny elves. It's fine.
Yeah, true.
So she ends up bludgeoning a draconian to death with her shield, and that works a little better for her.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I recall, the sword got stuck because she didn't know the stone thing, so she just beat a dude to death with the shield, and that's always rad.
It's really a shame that they don't give her a hammer, because I feel like with the frying pan and the shield, she should just have a hammer.
Chef,
no.
Well, that's
she definitely
because
feels
hammers-
like a hammer girl.
Hammers
Yeah.
are not as heroic as swords, as we all
I
know,
know,
and that's why
that's
nobody
true.
gets a hammer. Because I'm just saying, spears exist.
Well, spears, but also in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, if you're a fighter, a sword is always the best bet because on the random loot tables, swords have access to a far wider menu of possible magical enchantments than any other weapon. For some reason.
Thank you for this knowledge that I will not
Yeah.
use for my temporal champion.
And after bludgeoning this draconian to death, she's out
Yeah.
of breath, she's covered in blood, and she just like
Yep.
her first thought is to make out with Caramon. She is a wild
Yeah.
woman now. She
She is.
definitely feels like that person who's like, I'm leaving my barmaid job, I'm going to be an adventurer, and I'm going to kiss that damn himbo. You know, she's free now.
Mhm. Yeah. She is truly herself now that she no longer has a job to worry about.
Huh,
I can relate.
Oh man, I will not go into an anti-job tirade right now. We don't have the time for that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a really cool like sort of revelation for her that she is like maybe actually, because for most of the book, like the relationship between Caramon and Tika has been framed as like Caramon's the older guy, like they knew each other when she was like a kid. She's always had kind of a crush on him, but he never really noticed her. Yada yada yada, tomboy. And now she's like grown up and she's, you know, got big boobies and everything else and is a redhead, and now he's like interested. But like still it's kind of like he's theoretically going to be the pursuer. But actually, it turns out that she might actually be potentially more than he can handle.
Yeah.
She's not only the initiator, but like, in a sense, you know, in a sense, Caramon definitely feels like the one who's been conquered here a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. She saw what she wanted, and she's very firmly and enthusiastically claimed it for herself.
On pretty cool to like an 80s book.
Yep.
Yeah.
They get into the kiss, and she tasted blood in her mouth when she kissed him with such She flung her arms around his neck and kissed him with such violence, her teeth bit into his lip. She tasted blood in her. So like she's consumed him essentially here. She has,
yeah.
do next? This wild woman from Solus.
I think what we're trying to get at is she's a man eater.
Yeah.
She's a man
And they just
eater.
and Caramon's into it. So
yeah,
you
he
know.
is only human.
Yeah, he was. I believe he was about to carry her off into the woods for some playtime before Raceland stopped him. You know,
Yeah.
Raceland got a.
It was funny leading up to it, like she had just gotten her first kill covered in blood, and he's like, oh no, precious, gorgeous, you're okay, it's okay, you did really good. And she's just like, shut up and kiss me.
Yeah. Yep. Mhm. She is she's a fighter now. Like,
Yeah,
She's a fighter,
picked
she
her
does
class
big
level,
bad fighter things.
yeah.
and we support women who know what they want and try to get it. You know, I dig that.
Yep. Although she's still a little bit nervous about adult relations.
I mean, whom amongst us isn't still a little bit nervous about adult relationships?
It's true.
I've been married for like 3 years and I'm still nervous.
Yeah.
And
Aw.
there's not too much left to talk about in this chapter. They meet a guy named Eben, who's
Yes.
going to be
Yes.
a big deal through the rest of this book.
Yeah,
Yep.
Evan, who may or may not be a traitor. I don't know yet. It's hard for me to determine if
You
it was
getting those
Evan
vibes?
or Galthanis.
Mm-hmm.
I get
They
the
keep
vibes from
talking
one of
about
them.
a traitor.
Yeah, they do.
well, and it kind of makes sense, unless, you know, obviously Lord Verminard is just a better prepared dude than anyone thought.
You think they would do that, Austin? You really think they would add a throwaway character to just be the traitor?
I hope not, because
Crazy.
I hate it when books do that. It's like, oh, obvious traitor is obvious, but I don't know. There's something in my heart of hearts that is striking me that this guy isn't the traitor.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We get introduced to Pax Tharkis after being introduced to Eben, Shatterstone from Gateway. And again, we have that moment where Fizzban, this is where Fizzban casts the spell, the web spell on everyone. Presumably, I feel like the only benefit here is that it shuts up Eben because he's about to go into like, we had one of the most impressive mansions, like we're wealthy, and then Fizzban's like, nah.
Yeah, no, I think he just remembered the last spell words and decided to screw the entire party.
Mm-hmm. We see a very classic fantasy use of the word men to actually mean humans, because they're like, they see Pax Tharkis and they're like, who built this? And they must have been powerful men. And Flint is like, no, they weren't men, they were elves and dwarves. So we're getting, that proximity to Tolkien-esque fantasy writing. The big gates of Pax Tharkis are swinging open. We see the red dragons of the armies are marching on Qualinesti. Man, that's gonna suck.
Yeah, that's gonna be bad for them.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty bad for the elves. Yeah, man.
Find out next time on it's called a Z. It's called a Dragon Ball Z.
Mm-hmm. And and they are being followed.
Yeah.
That was the last thing, was that they were being followed by somebody.
Sweet, we've reached the end. It has been called a lance. We're we skipped an episode. We're only 2 weeks late. Really.
Yeah. Cut out my few last sentences there.
But none of us will be moving anytime soon, except Hauntie.
In like a couple months, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll try and figure that out ahead of time and pre-record or something.
Maybe we'll record an episode or two in advance.
That might be a good idea.
Yes, we just thought we would record our episodes around our move. Didn't work.
Didn't no. That was foolhardy. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
All right.
But I don't know. I think we managed to do okay. So I got a couple questions since I'm allegedly still hosting this nonsense.
Yeah.
Before we go off, where do we want to read up to?
Oh yeah. Oh right. Let me find the page where I was at before. You guys tell people where they can find you while I find the page count.
Well, you can find me on Blue Sky. I have posted like 3 things on there. Maybe I'll post more. Maybe I won't. Who knows? You can also find me at the Handful of Nerds. It's an actual play podcast. We're almost done our first season finally of getting it posted, and we have our super secret editor working on the backlog.
Yes. Yes, we do. Of the backlog of the Imperium Maledictum game. And you can find me, Hauntie, at on YouTube, Twitter, basically all of the socials. At YouTube, it's Hauntie Games is the channel name, and also Hauntie eventually, once I start putting some content on there. And that's me.
Yeah, that
and
is
Handful
you.
of Nerds, of course. Where
yes,
we're all Handful of Nerds people here now.
Yeah, it's the only people I really hang out with. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're at kind of a point where the next big arc doesn't end till the rest of the book. Pax Tharkis is the rest of the book. So yes. I figure we should end around halfway. Normally we try and stop at kind of narrative beats, but that's just not going to happen this time. So I'm figuring we read up to and including chapter 13. That keeps us still roughly around our like 6 chapter or 60 page thing we do. So I think that works, because otherwise I think we just read 100 pages and go all the way to the end of the book. But I think that might be a little big. Episode would be 3 hours long.
That's a little much for Austin. I'm going on vacation, guys, and I'm reading a vacation book. I'm going on a plane for the first time in
13.
forever. Well,
up to chapter
up to and including chapter
13. And certainly last but not least, hey, Will, if I were to be looking for you on the internet, where would I find you?
Nowhere, thanks to NordVPN. No.
Hey, we do not give out free sponsorships except to the concept of potatoes and whatever else we need for our next bathroom break.
You can find me on the William SRD YouTube channel, where all fine William SRDs are sold. I review the video game adaptations of tabletop franchises like D&D and Warhammer and stuff. Would love to see you there.
Yeah. Now go on. We don't want you around anymore. Go on,
yes,
get out of here.
Stay. I think you should stay.
No,
we'll just keep the recording going. No, we can just let it go forever.
And we're editing the podcast. Go
Audio
on,
file size is small. Audio is easy. We could just let it keep going.
But you have to let them go. The listener died 3 years ago.
I don't want to. I'm not ready.